my country people on a day. They don't carry another one come. Even see as P2B just sit down, they look at them, they laugh. The matter now be say, then they do everything make P2B no follow for the candidates for 2027 elections. The matter on ground now be say the PMP and the NDC logo, then get one victory sign waiting for their logos. So then they talk say then go unregister, then go deregister the NDC now. So what do you think about this thing? You think saying and what they're supposed to do because of just simple logo where everybody fit get, or say then they use and make them for fight P2B?
Welcome back. Let's bring in our guest, legal practitioner Libros Oshoma, joins us on the program. Mr. Oshoma, thank you so much for coming on the program. It's a quick return for you on this one. Ron, if you can help us unmute your device so we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes, explain to us what exactly is playing out. So, I have my questions will stay more on the legalese here. So, the underlying issue here is about the logo of a group or an association called the PMP as against the NDC, which is a registered political party by a court order that ordered the court ordered INEC to register it in December 2025. Now, the issue in question is that a court that gave that particular order in Lokoja sat on it again to say, we didn't get all the material, let me use a layman's term, all the things that we're supposed to get as far as this issue is concerned, especially it has to do with identity conflict. So based on the new information we have, please, you see that position we took, we're setting it aside. Let's start again. Help us understand what is going on here. Who has locus? Can the court sit on his own judgment? Help us make sense of the situation.
Yeah, thank you for having me once again on almost similar issues that we had discussed before now. Remember the last time I was in the studio. Unfortunately, I'm not able to come to the studio today because I have my leg hot. Let's backtrack a little and look at this issue. Looking at the logo, for example, the court, because we all agree, it's a preliminary, it's a notorious fact that once the court delivers a judgment, the court becomes factus officius, except it can be shown that that judgment was, there was non-service on the other party and that judgment was obtained by fraud, or that material evidence was suppressed. But in this case, the question you would ask, looking at the fact of the case, was material evidence suppressed? So let's look at what actually happened. When the judge first considered the originating summons, and if you look at the affidavit, the counter affidavit of INEC in that matter, even in the judgment, this present judgment, the court did say that INEC deposed to the counter affidavit that the reason for not registering the NDC was a conflict in logo. So the issue of logo was a material fact that was argued in that application. But the court in its wisdom went ahead and requested INEC to go ahead to register the NDC. So the logo issue is not a fact that was suppressed, and it is not a fact that just came to the fore. And then secondly, when was this judgment delivered? The judgment was delivered on the 10th of December 2025. And when was this application to set aside filed? The application to set aside was filed on the 5th of May 2026. That's almost 5 days short of clear 5 months. And if you look at, I think the case of Hope and Hope Rising, Supreme Court had decided succinctly that in looking at the application for a review or to set aside, you also look at the attitude of the applicant. Was it timely? Did the applicant act in a manner that the court will agree with them that they did not see this judgment early and that so they are coming 5 months after? Is 5 months after reasonable enough to say that, yes, the court can now sit back and review the judgment that they delivered 5 months ago? Also, will the other party be prejudiced? I take our mind back to the issue of the Supreme Court judgment in Umaru and INEC. In 2007, the Supreme Court agreed that there were irregularities in our election. Pa Nikitobi, Justice Nikitobi of blessed memory, in his wisdom agreed, even though the minority judgment of Justice Ogutade disagreed. But the majority judgment read by Justice Nikitobi said that there were irregularities in our election, in that election, but for public policy's sake, and public policy can be all encompassing, the fact that the money that have been spent in that process, the money that will be spent also in doing the election. And that's so for that reason, those irregularities were not substantial enough, and so they allowed the election. In this case, you ask the question, will the other party be prejudiced? Based on the court judgments that the court had delivered, that party had gone ahead to collect money from people, and they had also gone ahead to register people. They had registered members, some members who have had to travel and incur costs. All of this, the court didn't put it into consideration to say, well, we consider the issue of logo in the first place, and then also your application is coming very late, too late in the day. And then lastly, we put into consideration the issue of public policy. People that had shifted their position acted on the order that the court made. At this rate, we can no longer reverse what we have done. And so we will ask you to go to the Court of Appeal if there is time for you, because already they know that the time for appealing that judgment also had lapsed. And on this note, please permit me to quickly, I want to read the dictum of Agbola JSC in Nuhu and Ogele, in Oyebuchi and INEC. And he said, a decision by a court on an issue which that court cannot revisit, reopen or reconsider is a final decision on that issue. It matters not that the decision is made at the interlocutory stage or at the conclusion of the proceeding, or that it does not finally determine the merit of the case or the right and interest of the parties. So in this case, the court had taken a decision. Whether it finally determines the right or interest of the party at this stage, it's immaterial, provided at the initial stage, when that originating summons was filed, the court had ample opportunity to look at the issue of logo, which they did before they granted that order, judgment against INEC to register NDC. The court makes so much weather out of paragraph 14 and 15 of INEC counter affidavit, saying yes, the two logos are similar. That was the same reason that INEC gave in their previous counter affidavit why they did not register NDC ab initio.